What's going on, everyone? This is Benjamin Dixon with the Benjamin Dixon Show and Your Black World. Special thanks to Dr. Watkins for giving us all this platform. And one thing I greatly admire about Dr. Watkins is his motto: "There's no one way to be black." And with that in mind, I'm going to offer a counterpoint to my dear colleague. I greatly admire and respect her intensity and intellect, Yvette Carnell from Breaking Brown. She offered up a video with regard to the problem with with forgiveness, and a couple of things about President Obama, which I want to address President Obama. She and I are going to do a video on President Obama and capitalism one of these days, but I had a chance to let her know that I'm going to do this rebuttal video, and so this is all in camaraderie, all in love, just giving a different perspective, because there's not one way to be black. With that being said, the first thing I agree with her on, and then I'll get to what I disagree with her on, but I agree with her on these churches that are, the church last night in particular, they don't even know who did it yet. They don't even know. As a matter of fact, it may not have been arson. They don't have any evidence so far that it was arson, and they think that it could have been a lightning strike. So who are they forgiving? They don't even know who to forgive. If it turns out to be a lightning strike, I guess they're going to forgive God, which makes absolutely no theological sense whatsoever. So this rush to forgiveness is completely ridiculous, and it minimizes the importance and the powerful nature of forgiveness. Yvette briefly alluded to the families who forgave Dylann Roof before he even got to the courthouse. And but she only briefly dealt with that. So I'm not really addressing this next portion to her. I'm addressing it to all of the other people. I mean, everybody and their mama who has something to say about these 9 families offering forgiveness. I mean, everywhere you turn, you see people criticizing and critiquing them for forgiving this guy. But who are we? Who are we to critique and try to correct them on how they should mourn? These families have suffered something that most of us will hopefully and prayerfully never go through, ever. So we're not in a position to tell them what they should and should not be doing, that they shouldn't forgive. Forgiveness, anyone who has lost someone, anyone who has ever had someone taken from them violently, anyone who has been victimized in a manner that it makes you want revenge, and it makes you feel a visceral, physical response, almost like a bitterness and a hatred that you can taste. Anyone who has ever felt that level of anger and animus and hatred, you realize you really only have 2 choices. Either you let that thing eat you alive, or you let it go. And for Christians, the manner in which we let things go is we forgive that person. It's not that we are cowering down to them, or we're trying to impress the man, or we're shucking and jiving like all these Negroes on social media warriors are talking about, all these, belittling the act of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things to do. It is so much easier to hate someone. It's so much easier to seek retribution. It's so easy to be angry. The difficult thing is to swallow that hatred and that anger and push it and get rid of it, because it's our natural inclination to seek out a violent retribution to someone who has done us wrong. That's the easy thing. The difficult thing is to let it go. But these families could not, even if they wanted to, they can't seek out a violent retribution against Dylann Roof. He's in custody. He's in protective custody. So who are they supposed to be angry at? Who are they supposed to go out and try to hurt? And what are they supposed to go out, riot and burn something down? What are they supposed to do when they have the responsibility of burying their dead? So for everyone who's running around criticizing them and Monday morning quarterbacking, never been in this position, never lost somebody on this magnitude in this tragic manner, we all just need to just shut our mouths for a minute and let them mourn and let them get through this process. And what we can do instead is realize that we have no one to forgive. We don't have to offer forgiveness because it wasn't our family members. So that means we don't have to be distracted by the pain. We can move into action. We can actually go out and do what these families can't do because they have to bury their mother, their father, their brother, their nephew, their niece, their friend, their wife, their husband. They have to bury their dead, so they cannot take up the fight. But all of us who are sitting back on social media criticizing them, what have you done? Because you are in the position to actually help take up the fight when they can't. But all I've seen for the most part from a certain segment of social media is a lot of people criticizing the fact that they had to forgive when you have no idea the amount of pain that they had to go through this past week. All right, that's first. Now, the issue that I have that I take issue with Yvette on this, she was really alluding to the Christian church being problematic for the black movement and the black battle. We are in a battle. We are engaged in a battle for the last 400 plus years. We've been engaged in a battle. And I again, there are some points that I agree with her on. I think the church has been dissolved down to a very show and tell, a sideshow. And I'm one of the fiercest critics of church in general, the black church in specific, because we've lost our fire. We lost our fierceness in a lot of ways. Not across. I can't generally say that. There are some powerful churches out there that are still fighting the fight that needs to be fought. But too many of us are pacified with the stage show, just like Yvette mentioned. However, there's an entirely different segment of people of faith, particularly the Christian faith, whose faith moves them into action. And many of us are living in the fruits of those actions right now. We can disagree with Dr. King. We could disagree with Ralph Abernathy. We could disagree with all of the leaders of the civil rights movement that were Christian and their aim, their goals, and their methods. We can disagree. But what we cannot disagree on is the fact that we are absolutely living in the fruits of their labor right now. Is there a long way to go? Hell yeah, there's a long way to go. But we are not in the same position that we were in the 60s. We have made progress. There's a lot more that needs to be done. But I only mention that in this regard. The progress that has been made at the hands of people of faith, and not just Christians. They have been made at people who have used their faith to move them into action. And we see right now today that many of the people who are actually on the front lines, they're actually making things happen. They're actually getting policy together, getting policies changed, getting things changed in their city on the local level. They're getting things changed throughout the nation. The people who are doing, many of them are actually Christians. So it's an unfair categorization to say that Christianity is problematic when most of the people that are making things happen are Christian. And when I see a lot of people who are critiquing on the sideline, got a lot to say on social media, critiquing Christianity, but they're not doing anything. Now, my sister Yvette, she is doing something. And so I'm not referring to her directly. She's out on the front line, giving her opinion, putting herself out there to be her content, her writing, her videos, along with Dr. Watkins. They're actually doing something. Whereas people who are just posting, making these snide remarks on social media, what are you actually doing? So the question that Yvette left us with is, what are we going to do? I know the people who are actually doing something, the majority of them, so many of them are people of faith. And so my question is to all of the people who are criticizing, what are you going to do? Are you just going to talk about it and not be about it? Are you just going to criticize those who are actually doing something while you do nothing? So that's my thing. Don't come to me with a critique of people who are actually out there on the front lines right now today. I'm not talking about the 60s. I'm talking about the folks that are out there right now today who are doing things because of their faith. That's all I've got. See you next time.